When you come back to look at the car, you can actually see how the driver's side hangs down. So it looks like we have a new task of removing the rubber, the old rubber, and like everything else on this car that's rubber and grease, after 50 years it needs to be replaced. So let's tend to the exhaust. For a stock exhaust, it sure sounds great, and we want to preserve it as long as possible. Welcome back. I just went for a drive in the Dino, enjoying the new clutch, and as I came back I did a walk around, and what I noticed was that the exhaust was hanging lower on the driver's side than the passenger side, and you can see the failed rubber bumpers right there. So we can see the driver's side is hanging down just a little bit, and it's time to change it. So I've gone in and I've added some penetrating oil to the twin nuts on top there with the rubber. Those are broken. I also have my 10mm, but also vice grips. Sometimes when these come apart, they do so and are not and they come across in parts. So let's get to removing the old ones. Now, although this seems like quite a simple remove and replace, these are the same as the 6mm we saw for the fuel pump, and I have 2 extras. I will be changing the other side, but I'm out of these now that I use those for the fuel pump, and I've ordered more from AW Italian. We will first insert them and then look at the fit. This is actually one area where fitting the exhaust can be a little picky. Let's do a quick swap and see how it ends up. You can see the rear one came off in parts because it's always broken, but this is now trapped inside. I'm going to have to take the bracket off with those 2 13mm nuts. All right, I've undone the 13mm securing it to the exhaust, and we see the rubber mount here has also failed. So both rubber mounts are sheared in that old rubber. So now we can replace them both. But let's first clean this up and hit this with some satin black. Taken some time to paint the bracket, and you can see what they did is they used Fiat 80 cap bolts and just welded them to the bracket. I've set up my rubber mounts loosely, and that will allow us to slip this in easily into the place. So by the magic of television, let's get in. I've also noticed that the old hardware used is not magnetic. Somebody's been in here with stainless steel already. I have the correct gold CAD. We're going to be placing that on, as well as 8mm nuts and lock washers for the mount on the exhaust side. Let's put another jack underneath the exhaust and lift it up in order to mate those holes to the exhaust mount. And now I have attached the fasteners in a loose manner, and now I need to get the bottom ones down here done, and then we can start adjusting. What you'll want to do is get all of the fasteners on in place but loose, and then use a second jack here to move the exhaust to where you want, then tighten it down and cross your fingers in hopes that it stays. I've tightened the bolts and the fasteners down on that and released the jack that was holding the exhaust up, and it is holding. Let's go see what it looks like on the inside. That lines up pretty well. Now we know that the passenger side needs replacing, but I've run out of parts for this. I have ordered more, and they're a few days out, but when they do come in, we'll do the same for the passenger side. But right now, job well done. Let's put it all back together and get it on the road. And you can see both of those bumpers had failed, and it was completely sagging. Keep your eye on the exhaust system and the mounting